Okay, this is the video lesson for 5-5, writing equations in point-slope form. So, first of all, let's do a little bit of review. Reviewing what slope-intercept form is, and we remember slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. That was slope-intercept form. Now, mathematicians are pretty simple here in the names that they use. The fact that they use the name slope-intercept form is because, if you remember, m represents your slope and b represents your intercept. In this case, your y-intercept. Hence the name slope-intercept form. You know, pretty simple there. So now we're going to talk about point-slope form, and the equation for point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. Now again, mathematicians, pretty basic here on their naming of it. The name is point-slope form, and again, that is because, again, m represents the slope of the line, again, same as before, and in this case are y1 and x1 comma y1. That is a point on the line. So, for point-slope form, they will simply be giving you an ordered pair, a point on the line, and the slope. So look at the next couple of examples. Example number 1, A and B. It says write the point-slope form, again, point-slope form of an equation of a line that passes through the point with the given slope. Here is the point they gave me. Again, the point would be x1, y1, and then here is the slope they gave me, m. So to write this in point-slope form, I'm simply going to write y minus y1, which y1 is 0, equals m, which is negative 3/2, times x minus x1, which is negative 2, so x minus negative 2. Make sure you do put minus negative 2, because it is x minus x1, so x minus negative 2. Now what you do need to do at this point for these problems, I'm going to put a little star here, is to clean it up. Okay, don't leave it like this, it's kind of messy. For instance, y minus 0 should just be y. So y equals negative 3/2 times the quantity, and then again we know minus and minus turns into plus, so x plus 2. Now, you do not want to go ahead and distribute, because then you're no longer in point-slope form. Point-slope form does have m times the quantity of something in it, so leave your answer just like that. Alright, you guys could go ahead and try letter B here on your own. Pause the video and come back and check your answer. Alright, and we're back. So here we go with point-slope form of this problem. We're going to say y subtract, here's my y1, so y subtract negative 4 equals m, which is 3, times x subtract x1, which is 2. And then again, we're pretty much done unless we need to clean something up And in this case, the only thing we need to clean up is this minus a minus right here. So our answer is going to be y plus 4 equals 3 times the quantity x minus 2. And you're done. That is your point slope form. All right, so next thing we have here is standard form. This section, you actually learn two new forms, the main one being point slope. The next one here is standard form, and the equation for standard form is capital A, AX, plus capital B, BY, equals capital C. All right, now, there are some rules about standard form. Standard form, rule number 1 is that capital A, the value, A value must be positive. So the A value must be positive. Rule 2 is that there cannot be any decimals or fractions. There cannot be any decimals or fractions anywhere in this form. And rule 3 here is that, rule 3 is that you must have the equation in the right order. And in the right order simply means in the order that the equation says. Your x term has to be first, and then your by, so your y term next, then equals your c, and c just being a number. Now, real quick here, just a very generic example of standard form might look like this: 2x plus 3y equals -6. So just so you have an idea of what standard form might look like. Again, that's just a generic example I made up. Okay, so let's move on and look at some of the next problems where we'll actually use standard form. So example 2, it actually wants us to do a couple things here. It wants us to first, it wants us to write the equation in standard form and in slope-intercept form. And if you notice, they've started these equations. Look at that equation right there. That equation is already in point-slope form, the first form we talked about today. So they're kind of starting the problem in point-slope form, and they want you to manipulate it into standard and into slope-intercept form. Now, I'm going to give you a little hint here. The easiest way to do this is to actually, if you have an equation that's in point-slope form already, like we do in these two, the easiest thing to do here is to first change it so that it's in slope-intercept form, and then secondly change it to so it's in standard form. And I'll show you what I mean here as we do this problem. So, since they want both forms, and I just told you that we're going to first here try to put it into slope-intercept form, we know that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So all you need to be doing in this problem is solving the equation for y. So down here in example A, I'm going to first distribute my negative 4. So y minus 5 equals negative 4x plus 2. And then you should add 5 to both sides. So we have y equals negative 4x plus 7. And there you go. There's, we'll give this a little blue check mark. That's slope-intercept form. And that right there is half of what they wanted. Slope-intercept form is done. So now we're going to take this slope-intercept form answer that we got, and we're going to now move it into standard form. And like I said, our second thing we're going to do here is standard form, and we just learned standard form. ax plus by equals c. So what do we need to do to make this into standard form? Well, first thing is my x is on the wrong side. We know that it has to be exactly in this order. Our x's come first, then our y's, then our equal sign, and then our numbers. So the negative 4x is simply on the wrong side. So I'm going to fix that by adding 4x to both sides. Okay, and now on the left side here, the left side of the equal sign, again, equal sign being my middle here, left side of the equal sign, I'm going to have 4x plus y equals 7. Well, there you have it. That's done now too. That's in standard form. Having some pin issues here. Hold on. That is in standard form there. So that is our second answer, or the standard form version of it. Here's my a is 4, and then obviously my x is x. So you have ax plus b. What is my b? Well, in this case, my b would be 1. So, you know, ax plus by, and my c is 7. And that actually is something I might ask you to identify. What was your a, b, and c in standard form? All right, so looking over at the next problem, example 2, b and c, I would actually go ahead and like you to try these on your own. So go ahead and give B and C a shot by pausing the video. And we're back here. First step in B was to distribute this. So you're going to have y plus 3 equals negative 3/4 x plus 3/4. Okay, now we're going to try to put this in slope-intercept form first. So again, it's pretty simple because all you have to do is solve for y. Well, in this case, to solve for this y, you're just going to subtract 3. Subtract 3 over here. We have y equals negative 3/4 x, and positive 3/4 minus 3 is going to give me negative 2 1/4. So there you're done. That is slope-intercept form. Fractions are fine in slope-intercept form. You know that your slope is negative 3/4 and your y-intercept is negative 2 1/4, and that's fine. So now we need to change to standard form. Well, first of all, I see a couple problems with standard form even before I get started here, and that problem is that I know I'm not allowed to have fractions. Okay, so I can't have fractions in standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and alleviate that problem right away. I see that this fraction has a denominator of 4 and this fraction has a denominator of 4, which means if I multiply everything by 4, it's going to kill those denominators, right? So you multiply 4 to y, and you get 4y. And then you're going to distribute this 4 on the left side to both pieces. So 4 times negative 3/4 is just negative 3x. And then 4 times 2 1/4. Now, again, you might use your calculator. What I think would be the easiest thing here on 2 1/4 is to change negative 2 1/4, I'm doing this at the bottom here, into negative 9/4 by, 4 times negative 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9, so 9 over negative 4, or negative 9/4, and if you multiply that by 4, the 4's cancel, so 2 1/4 times 4 simply gives me negative 9. So now I've taken care of the fraction problem, and now this is a pretty basic problem. You're going to add 3x to both sides, and we have our standard form. 3x plus 4y equals negative 9. Done. And this down here was just my side work. Alright, and C, just checking here to see if you did C right. Distributing your 2.5, so I have y minus 3 equals 2.5x plus 2.5. Okay? For slope-intercept form, you just have to solve for y, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So my slope-intercept form says y equals 2.5x plus 5.5. So that's done there. Again, I know we don't really like decimals for slope, but it's not technically wrong. Again, if I had to graph this, I would want to change that 2.5 into an improper fraction so that I could do my rise and run, but for this example, we're just done right there. That is in y equals mx plus b form, so you're done. So now I'm going to get ready and change it into standard form. Now again, thinking about standard form, I know I can't have any decimals or fractions. Well, I say, well, how do I get rid of those decimals if I'm not allowed to have decimals? Well, that should be pretty simple, because since there's only one decimal to the right, again, I'm going to go ahead and just multiply everything, both sides, multiply everything by 10. Because I know multiplying by 10 just moves my decimal 1 to the right. So 10 times y is 10y. 10 times 2.5 is 25x. 10 times 5.5 is 55. So I've taken care of my decimals. Their decimals are gone. Now I just need to move my x to the left so it's in the correct spot. So I minus 25x. Now I have negative 25x plus 10y equals 55. Everything looks good, but uh-oh. I've remembered there's a third rule about standard form. That third rule is that a here has to be positive. The negative 25 can't be a negative. It has to be a positive number. So how do I take care of that? Well, that should be even easier than before. We just multiply everything by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 25 is positive 25. Negative 1 times 10, positive 10, it turns it into a negative 10y. And then the negative 1 on this side, multiplied by the 55, gives you negative 55. So there is my standard form answer. So for all three of these problems, we've actually used all three forms. The equations all started in point-slope form, which we learned, and then we changed all three of them into slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b, and then finally turned all three of them into standard form, ax plus by equals c. And that is all you are really doing in this section. There is a story problem to go along with this, which we'll look at next. Okay, so let's read this story problem. It says, a home security company provides a security system for $5 per week plus an installation fee. The total fee for 12 weeks of service is $210. Okay, now, this is a little bit different problem than we've done story problem-wise. So let's break this down. First of all, it almost sounds like it's going to be a y equals mx plus b problem, because if the security system is $5 per week, that's going to be your m, right? every week you're going to have to pay an additional $5. So that's your change or your slope. So what we need then is we need to know what b is, and we'd be able to write this equation in y equals mx plus b. Problem is, again, b, your y-intercept, is your starting point, and we don't know what we start at because there's an installation fee. That would be my starting cost. I don't know, maybe it's $100, maybe it's $500. But that would be my starting cost, and then on top of that installation fee, you'd be paying that $5 a week, but I don't know that starting cost. So probably that's what I'm going to be figuring out in this problem. If we read down farther, you'll see that is what we're trying to figure out. So we're not going to set it up this way. Now, we are going to use the $5 per week as my m. I mean, that's not going to change. That still is m for slope. What you then need to recognize is that this here, the total fee for 12 weeks is $210. That's like giving you an X and a Y or an ordered pair. What that's doing is that's telling you that 12 is your X1 and 210 is your Y1. Okay? So what they've done is they've given you an ordered pair here, 12, 210. Now, how do I know that 12 is the X and 210 is the Y? Again, if you remember graphing story problems like this, time always goes down here on your x-axis because time is always consistent. This would be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So time is your x, and that leaves, in this case, money for your y-axis. So that's how I knew 12 was the x and $210 was the y. Well, if you notice here, what you now have is you have a point, 12, 210, and a slope. So we're going to use in letter A here the point slope form, which that's what letter A says. Write the point slope form of an equation to find the total fee y for any number of weeks x. So you're simply going to say, well, I'm going to have y minus y1, which is 210, equals m, which is 5, times x minus x1, which is 12. Okay, so there's your slope intercept or your point slope form. Now b tells us to change this into slope intercept form. Well, we remember from just the previous problems that to do that you just simply solve for y. I'm going to first distribute my 5, which is going to give me y minus 210 equals 5x minus, what is that, 60? 5 times 12. And then you have to solve for y by adding 210. So my slope-intercept form of the equation will be y equals 5x plus 210. And letter C then says, what is the flat fee for installation? Well, remember, up here where we talked earlier, we were saying that, man, if we just knew what that starting amount was, we'd know what our B is automatically, because again, B is your starting place, or your starting point, your y-intercept. We knew it was going to go up by $5 a week, so we knew 5 was our M, but we really need to know what that starting point was. Well, now that we have slope-intercept form, we can look right here and say, hey, our B is 210, which means that was the starting amount, or the flat fee for installation was $210. Now remember, for story problems, always write that in a full sentence, so you should say the flat fee for installation was $210. So there you have it. All right, go ahead and get started on the homework.